Heidi ho, everyone. Welcome to Sunday Market Review. This is Jeff Pine coming to you live from Tasmania in Australia, just near the bottom of the world. There's only Antarctica left before I get there, and it's great to have you on board. Thank you very much for your company. A little bit of a different scenario today. We have rescheduled things a little bit. And first up, very, very shortly, we'll be talking to Orlando, who's going to give us our analysis section of today's webinar. Then you'll be hearing from me a little bit later on the technical side of things. We'll have Ainsley along talking oil and gold and all of those precious metal things that we normally get to have a look at on a Sunday. And of course, the boss man PB will be in very, very shortly as well to say hi and progress us through the day. First up, however, it is.
Sorry, mate. I got the question. The word was Shifus. I thought it was a T instead of an F. I was thinking, what's this question? Hi, all you Shifus. We've got no sound. I can hear Jeff fine, and he can hear me. So I presume you guys can hear me. Can you write something, particularly in the chat group, if you can hear us, please? Can you let us know? If you're on the webinar with Actions to Wealth, can you let us know and let us know you can hear us? And if you can't, if you can just type in there saying no, you can't hear us, that would be great as well. Excellent, brilliant. Livid. Why is your name Livid? Gosh, I hope trading's going okay. Jeff, as you were saying, hi everyone. Look, excellent. Look, plenty of changes in the way we're doing things at the moment, and it's all the way through the business. There's lots and lots of changes. Poor old James needs a month off. There's so much change, it's ridiculous. But one of the things that's changing at the moment is that myself, Jeff, and Ainsley will be in every week like we always have been. But we are changing the people who are coming into the market analysis to give them longer. Rather than sort of chopping them off, we want to give them enough time to really spend some time. And just so you guys know, the plan at this stage is this week is Orlando. Next week is Julian. Hey, Orlando, how you doing? The next week is
thank you.
Julian. The week after that is Paul Hutton. The week after that, we're still working on, and the week after that is Ash. And generally speaking, Ash is now the 5th, but generally speaking, Julian will be on the 2nd Sunday of the month. Ash will be on the 4th Sunday of the month. Orlando, Paul Hutton, Chloe, Justin, they'll wander through the rest of the weeks as the friends of the show. Jeff, thanks very much for opening for me. Fascinating. I've just been in a session,
welcome,
and guys, nice to have, guys, thanks for that. Those guys have already done it. Hey, Andrew, nice you can hear us. Those on YouTube as well. If you like the show, if you can give it a like, that would be fantastic. And if you don't like the show, if you can watch something else, that'd be cool as well. If you like the show, give us a like, guys. Plenty in the room already for today for the session with Orlando. I'm going to put a bit of push into the in the group pretty soon to let him know that he's up. So there's a few things for us to talk about. A few things have just come out of. Look, Sunday's an interesting time for us. A lot about sort of getting some of the senior traders together for different things, and this is definitely a part of it. But at 7:30 New Zealand, so about 3:30, so I came down and did a call with the guys who trade the money for us, which is always fascinating to hear what they're looking at for the market for the week ahead, and always good fun actually, that call. I really look forward to it. And after that, I've just sat in on the pilot, the second week of the pilot for Julian's new program, which is a weekly program. You spend an hour a week with him on a Sunday going through markets, and you get an hour a month with him one-on-one. And we're just developing that strategy. Should be that program. We're trying to just define it a bit more clearly. I think Julian and I both know what we want it to be, but putting that into language that we can explain to you guys is a bit more difficult. But boy, it's interesting. He's a clever dude, and I do want to ask you guys this. We're looking to make May. For the guys around break even and just below, we're really looking to make May a really important month. And here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to go back and check your results for the last 3 months and find out what percentage of winners you've got. And let's make that one of the goals for May. I don't actually mind whether you've won 20% of the time, 30% of the time, 40%, 50%, doesn't matter. What I'm going to ask you to do for May is to have May have a higher winning percentage for you than any other month you've traded this year. So if you've had a month where you've won 70% of the time, 30% of the time, 25, 40, I want you to see if you can make 75. I want you to get past whatever it was, whatever your best month was, and different approaches and different strategies. And I'm talking not, if you're trading 5 different strategies, I'm not so much, but for each of the strategies that you trade, if you trade the Wave Rider, can you get a 50% success rate at 2 to 1? That'd be a pretty good month. If you took nothing else, that's what you achieved this month. That'd be brilliant. if you've been trading trend trading stuff and getting it at 35% success, you can get it to 40% success, make a huge difference. So the question is, can you get your winning percentage up in the strategies that you trade? Now, Jeff, you've got an incredibly high winning percentage already, so maybe a little bit different for you. Maybe for you, I know you've already done a lot of work. Actually, I've got something to share with you tomorrow. I've got a new little thing to have a play with you that you'll love on range trading.
Cool.
We'll have a chat tomorrow, perhaps
Yeah,
not
okay.
right now because it's not quite ready for the world, but I think it is ready for you. Look, what I'm going to do in a moment is I'm going to hand over to Orlando. I'm going to post something into the broadcast group, reminding people that he's got the helm on market analysis. I'm really keen. I know Orlando's had a couple of really good trades last week. He'll talk about this a little bit. But really, Orlando, what I'm really keen to do is to focus forward. What can these guys look for this week? What do we think is going to happen? What can we look to achieve? How can we take what's going to happen in this market and get that winning percentage up? I'll hand you the screen, or can you grab the screen?
Yeah, I can grab the screen right now. Hold on, let me just see where it is. There you go. Can everybody see my screen?
Orlando, as you start up, I would like to ask you a couple of questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Mate, to some of our clients, those that came to Bali will know you. For those that weren't in Bali, where are you from?
I'm from El Salvador. That's in Central America, mate.
In Central America, El Salvador. Yeah. Brilliant. And what do you trade?
Well, I mostly trade currencies. Like 80% of my trades are currency related. But I do also trade, the other 20% is a little bit of gold, oil, and US equities. Mostly the S&P 500.
And generally speaking,
but I'm
you're a swing trader, right?
Yeah, I am a swing trader.
You're a swing trader, and to categorize you, I'm going to categorize you as busy. You're a busy trader.
I'm kind of a busy trader. Yes. When you say busy, you mean some positions open for long periods of time?
Look, there are guys in our organization that would spend 15 minutes a day in front of their charts, and you're not one of those, right? You're a guy that looks at markets a lot. You spend a long time in front of your charts. You're a chart addict, right? You love this stuff. You spend a lot of time.
I love this stuff.
Looking at trading, doing analysis, talking about stuff. You've got a chat group inside Actions to Wealth. You do the premium trade signals for us now. Yes. You guys, if you want to get involved in the premium trade signals or get into Orlando's chat group and just chat with him, just send an email contact Actions to Wealth, and James will come back tomorrow and let you know how that happens. All that stuff's very, very reasonably priced, by the way. But really, for you, you are one of the active guys, right? You're a guy that likes to be involved.
Yeah. I do like to be involved. I do like to be on top of my trades, on top of the analysis, on top of the chat rooms. Because I do believe that. It's not that I believe, but I do know because of the past that some opportunities that I have taken, very good trades, come from the chat room. From that ongoing analysis that we do as a group.
Yep, nice, mate. Nice. Well, you're going to start today having a look at euro dollar. Bit of a bounce on that Christine Lagarde speech on the euro, wasn't there?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you.
You're going to start off talking about the euro, aren't you? Been a bit of a bounce in the euro following Christine Lagarde's speech on Thursday or Friday?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to start with the euro. Then I'm going to go through a couple of majors. I'm going to talk about Brent oil. When do I see going next week, the S&P 500, and there's a good opportunity still on the US dollar, Singapore dollar, that I do believe that is open for business still, and the pound, New Zealand dollar, the US dollar, Mexican peso again. After the big trade that we took on the short side of the US dollar, Mexican peso last week, I do believe that there's a short opportunity again on a big retracement that just happened at the end of the week. So yeah, I'm going to go through all that.
Nice, mate. Off you go.
Okay, so let's talk about the euro versus the US dollar. This is the 1 hour chart. Let's go to the 4 hour chart. Last week we saw the euro versus the US dollar coming off of these lows, and before Christine Lagarde's comment last week, the euro versus the US dollar was bouncing off of the 108 level, right? Then it broke up, and the way that I see this is twofold, right? I do believe that we might be on a rally up to the 110 level to retest the 110, 110.50 level, because there's a very cyclical. It is a very cyclical level if you see right here. level that bulls were protecting, then was retested again. And right now, we might be on our way to retest it. But I do believe that if I take a play on the euro versus the US dollar, it's going to be US dollar focused. Right now, I'm very focused on the US dollar because it's the hardest currency on the pair. And if I do take a position on the US dollar, I don't think it will be here on the euro versus the US dollar, but I will be very forward looking for that level to be tested. And then again, to see if we have one of two scenarios, right? Retest and a rejection of this very important level, or a breakout and a retest in which I will be looking for longs, as I am currently a US dollar bear, right? This is the euro versus the US dollar, but one currency which I really liked how it traded last week is the US dollar versus the Swiss franc. Let me go to the daily chart first, and then I'm gonna come back down because this is one of the trades that we took last week right here. We took a short trade right here around the 97.40, no, 97.30, 97.20 level. And we closed half of our position by here at the next key level, of course. But I do believe that there is a lot of exposure to the downside in these currency pairs, since the US dollar has broken, or the DXY, right? The DXY is the US dollar currency index, has broken with some very key levels to the downside. So the US dollar play that I'm taking is, or the bearish US dollar play that I'm taking is on the US dollar versus the Swiss franc. So if we go to a 4-hour chart, I'm going to show you guys why did we take that half of our position here at this key level. Well, it's pretty simple, right? We really don't know what's going to happen when currencies, or when any instrument actually hits a key level. What we really do know is that this level was where bulls jumped in to go from these lows to these highs, right? And we were trapped in here in a very interesting, in a very interesting range, which gave us a very good risk to reward ratio to the first target. But what's interesting here is that if we break with this level, which is around the 95, what is it, 95.90 level. If we break with this level to the downside, it would be very interesting to see a retest of said level for another leg down, right? And this would give us a great risk to reward ratio, since the next key level would be around the 93.10, 93.50 level. To be completely honest, I would really put my I would really close the entire position here around the 93.40, 93.50 level, just because I want to be safe and I want to be filled on my target. But this is the a break below and a retest is the play that I'm looking for next week to short the US dollar. As I showed you on the daily chart, not only we have broken with this key level, but also with what seems to be a very steep bullish structure. So if I just zoom out a little bit so we get a better picture of what I'm talking about, well, you can see that, me looking for this short on the US dollar Swiss franc started from the daily chart, looking at this, at the price action at the top, right? This rejection of the previous highs and this key level, but also this fight between bulls and bears. So I knew that below this level was a good entry to go short. And if you notice that these two daily, or the past two daily candles, are extremely bearish, and they're engulfing the last 10 candles. So this is an extremely bearish move, and we might have some kind of a bullish reaction to these previous lows, which I'm going to be marking right here. But I'm definitely looking for that breakdown, or that break below this level, to engage in another short position in the US dollar Swiss franc. And to be honest, this is the the play that I like the most, or the yeah, I mean, looking for a bearish play on the US dollar, this is the scenario that I like the most. Risk to reward ratio based. So yeah, we'll be looking for that on next week, and yeah, you should be too, because it could be a very good opportunity to make some money. Now, if we go to the pound versus the US dollar, to be completely honest, I have not been watching this market too much. And the market that I refer to is the British pound. But we can do this together and see what can we expect for next week. Now, well, to be completely honest, actually, last Friday, I saw that there was a short opportunity, but it didn't, I mean, I didn't take it because it didn't fit my my rules. And the short opportunity that I saw was around these levels. But now that we have broken, I'm sorry about that. Okay. So now that we have broken to the downside, the levels that I'm looking for even further downside is this, exactly where we are positioned right now. And the reason is that because of this key pivotal zone. And when I say key pivotal zone, if you're not in my group, you might not recognize that term. But when I look at levels, I look for key points in the market. For example, we got these highs and a rejection, and then when we broke to the downside, we had a retest. So for me, this is a key pivotal area. Why? Because this is where bears were protecting, and then where bulls jumped in to get price higher and test the next key level. So if we break with this level, which is the 2484, 2480, 2490 level, I will be looking for maybe some short opportunities on the pound, again on a retest. But to be completely honest, if we go, let me just put on the other line here. If we go to the 4-hour chart, to be completely honest, there is this level right here that that is pushing me against this trade idea. The reason is that we will be too close to this level, and maybe the risk to reward scenario would not be that attractive, in the sense that, let me just zoom in a little bit. All right. In the sense that we might get a 59 to 60 pip stop loss, and the first target should be at this key level, which would be around 83 pips. So I'm not too fond of this short. I'm sorry, I forgot to work on my laptop. So I'm not too fond of this short idea, but if we manage to break below this 2480, 2490 level, I would most definitely be looking for shorts. But again, since I am a US dollar bear, let me just delete these lines. Because I am a US dollar bear, that's another reason that I would not be trading the downside of the pound versus the US dollar, but rather looking this move to the downside as a continuation pattern. It looks like very flaggy to me. The moves to the upside are very sharp, and the moves to the downside are not. So this tells me that we might be just retracing before a continuation higher. And if you notice here, the validation level for this trade would be around the 2520 level, and this would give me a 45 pip stop loss for a possible 100 pip target, which would be great and within my trading rules, right? A better than 1 to 2 risk to reward scenario. So because I am a US dollar bear, I would be looking, not taking, because it hasn't hit my validation level yet. I would be looking to go long on the pound versus the US dollar, right? If we manage to hit and retest these lows and sharply break above that validation level, which would be the previous high at around the 2520, like I said before. And if we zoom out and go to the 4-hour chart, it gets even more attractive, right? If we look at this, I mean, we have the sharp move to the upside, the flag pattern, and we might be in a really, really good continuation rally to break above these levels, even to hit these previous lows over this previous base around the 2760, which will give us a second target for around 240 pips. So the upside of the GBP USD is really, really more attractive than the downside, okay? Not only technical to me, but also fundamental in the sense that I am a US dollar bear for the time being. And well, if you want to go calculating with breakouts on the pole, this clearly surpasses the targets on these lows. That's the GBP USD for me. I mean, if you like this, you should take a note. Because like I said before, I hadn't worked on this chart. I just did it with you guys, and I'm definitely going to keep an eye on that. Let's go and let's have a look at the US dollar versus.
Oh, yeah, Lando. You're just talking cable. What are you looking to do, cable? You're looking to long it or short it?
I'm looking for a long opportunity in cable, definitely.
Following the flag. You've seen the move up, the flag moving down. You're looking to buy it down here and take it back up to that recent high. Is that what you're going to look to do?
Exactly, mate. So I'm going to go again through
Excuse me.
through the no worries, through the rationality of the trade.
That's okay. As long as I just want a quick summary of it, mate. That's fine. So I've got a nice move up, a nice flag down. I've got a target to the top, plenty of reward to rest to it. Yeah. Like that a lot. Nice and simple, mate. Other than cable, what are you looking at?
Other than cable, I'm looking at well, the US dollar versus the Singapore dollar. This is another setup that I really like. Let's start by looking at the daily. I'm sorry, at the 4-hour chart. Well, let's look at the daily. And the reason that I really like this trade.
Hey, Orlando.
Hello. Yes?
Hello. Look,
Hey,
we're a bit. Hey, darling, we're a bit laid back in this country. Could you slow your talking a little?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, that's because here it's 3:30 a.m. and I
can see that. I can see that.
2 cups of coffee. But yeah, I can certainly
God,
do
who
that.
let you loose on 2 cups of coffee? I'll send over some Vegemite, darling.
No, thank you. I'm fine. Horrible stuff.
You find a veggie? Okay. Get to the point, but just slow it down. I'm listening and going, holy shit.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's Salvadorian coffee for you, mate.
Okay.
All right, I'll slow it down. So
slow it down, but just which way are you going for the week?
Okay, cool. The reason that I love this idea on the US dollar versus the Singapore dollar is because of the sharp moves to the upside that we have seen, right? And if you look at the chart that I'm showing again, well, the moves to the upside have been really sharp, and then we've had one. Well, let's calculate it. In fact, we had a 640 pip move to the upside. Then we had a 330 pip move to the downside as a retracement. Then we moved 900 pips to the upside, and now we have retraced 575 pips to the downside. And as you can see, I mean, it's pretty obvious that we are in a particular triangle formation here, which is one of the formations that I'm very keen on trading. There's a lot of room to the upside, right, as profits to be made. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna draw some key levels. Well, we have that going on for us, and then we have this. This is a very key pivotal level for me. Again, big rejection here on the daily, guys. Big daily rejection, and then we had that retracement back to these levels. Okay, then we broke to the upside, we retested it, and now we are right there retesting it. And the Friday candle, it's a super bullish candle, which completes a reversal pattern, in my opinion, right? Now, if we go to the 4-hour chart and zoom in a little bit, we can work that triangle formation perfectly, right? And just give me a second. Right here. So you can see that we are really in a triangle formation. And we do have some very strong targets to the upside. Okay, so the thing about this trade is that if you didn't took that, if you didn't take that that entry on Friday, the position, I mean, the trade might have been gone for now. But if we manage to get below again, to retest this zone, I think the possible entry still applies, right? So for those of you that are not in this long position, I will be looking to go long again at a retest of the 41.20 level with stops just below this spike low at around 80 pips for a possible first target. I'm sorry, the first target should be always the previous key level of about 200 pips. So a better than 1 to 2 risk to reward scenario again for first targets. And because we have seen that the US dollar versus the Singapore dollar really flies when it flies, I wouldn't be surprised that if we manage to break with this formation, and if we manage to break with this with this key level, we could definitely be looking for a retest. I mean, let's not talk about the highs, but at least the 45, the 45.30, 45.40 level. So this is another one that I'm looking at, right? And as I told you, this is another one that I really like. And yeah, I mean, some of you might think that, I mean, I just talked about being short the US dollar. I mean, being a US dollar bear. And right now I'm talking about going long the US dollar versus the Singapore dollar, but this is really based on the Singapore dollar more than the US dollar. Okay, the Singapore dollar being devaluated. So to sum up, a retest of the 41.20 or even the lows at the 41 level should give you a nice entry to go long for that retest of the previous highs and a break of the pattern. And I mean, if we manage, and if you, I mean, this is the reason that we took that trade with the team on Friday, because if you look, we had a pattern within the pattern, right? I mean, we have the big pattern on the daily, which is the triangle, but we also have an elongated triangle right here, or a wedge, if you want, whatever you want to call it. And right there, and not only that, but if we throw some Fibonacci retracement levels, we are at and they're white. So let's go to the properties and let's make them black or dark blue, that's fine. We are at the 61.8, okay? Right here, we are at the 61.8. So, I mean, the confluence of levels, the confluence of Fibonacci retracements, which I liked, and the confluence of that reversal pattern within the big pattern breaking out gave us the go for that long on the US dollar versus the Singapore dollar. But again, like I said, if we manage to retest these lows or these levels around the 41 to 41.20, that should give you a good idea when rejected to go long here. Okay. So I'm going to go.
I'm going to hold you up if you don't mind. Look, mate, a couple of things. We've just posted up some links for people who want to join your premium Forex signals. We're going to give them the first month for $9.95. Are you going to jump them in your chat group as well for the first month if they try it for a month?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Why not, mate?
Okay. Look, before we get into that, Orlando, I know what Andy was saying about the speed that you speak up. Personally, I'm a fan of people that speak quickly. It's a sign of superiority. I'm only kidding.
Yeah, I know.
But what I would like to do is open it up right now. We've been going for nearly half an hour, and we've had a good look at cable in Dollar Sing, and obviously we it's I think your second time in the show. You're going to be a frequent guest of the show moving forward. But some of the terminology may well be different to what people are used to hearing. So what I'm going to ask you, I'm watching YouTube and I'm watching the chat area here on Zoom. And if you have any questions about the two charts we've had a look at, put them in the box and I'm going to ask Orlando to go back over it. So we've had a look. If you think you understand clearly and you're okay, if you could just say, hey, this is all good, I'm clear. That'd be, boy, the YouTube numbers have stacked up. Boy, it's getting more and more popular on there. If you guys are on YouTube and watching this, then fantastic. If you've got any questions, I can see the questions. So feel free to put a question in there and we'll try and get them answered. If you're in the webinar, preferably if you can use the chat room, I prefer that. Brilliant, very clear, love it, brilliant.
Yeah.
Excellent. Lots of good comments coming in saying they're following and they understand. Look, I think it's really important, for the ATW clients, you've got the choice of doing the webinar or YouTube. I think we're starting to get the YouTube. Boy, it took us years. Getting multiple presenter shows on YouTube has been quite an issue. I think we're getting there. If you want to go there and put your questions in there, we will try and get them answered. I think the whole point of all this stuff is for us to pass knowledge. That was good. Thanks. Excellent. Brilliant. People are getting it. Great. Look, the whole point of doing all this, the reason that Orlando's up at 3:30 in the morning in El Salvador is not because he loves the coffee. He's here to share. And if we don't make sure that you get the message, then boy, he should be asleep. It's the whole point is to make sure you do. So if you have any questions, put them in the question box and let us know.
Definitely do.
Orlando, I think we probably can't do another 2 hours of this. So can we keep you to 2 more pairs in 15 minutes? Two more topics in 15 minutes?
Sure.
Is that okay? And I'll jump in if I've got any questions. And guys, if you've got any questions, put them in the questions box. Okay.
Okay. Orlando, what do you think on oil?
Are you going to cover your Brent winner at some stage, Orlando? You can do that soon.
Oh yeah, yeah, sure. I can do it right now. And
do you want to do one more and then have a look at the Brent winner you took?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can do.
If we're going to do oil, let's do it last so you can transition straight from you to Ainsley, Because oil's your thing.
Definitely.
So why don't we do one more currency chart? And you can talk about oil, and then perhaps you and Ainsley can have a conversation about it. It's always interesting when two different traders look at the same thing, right?
Perfect. I can do the S&P 500 and then do my Brent position and then transition to Ainsley. All right, cool. So
I'm going to jump in. I've got a great question here, and I'm going to jump into it for you. I hope you don't mind, Orlando. May is traditionally a bullish month for US dollar. It can't be a US dollar bear. I can't be a US dollar bear on that basis. Would that not figure in any thought processes? Look, Simon, it's a great question, and
yeah, definitely.
I think one of the things you need to work out is what you're trading. And if you tell me that this is a traditional May, then I think what you're saying is really valuable. And if you tell me it's not a traditional May, then I think the reason it's not a traditional May is what you're trading. So for mine, we're trading a coronavirus world. That's what I think we're trading. So that's what I'm trading. I'm trading a coronavirus world. And for me, and I'm huge on seasonality, just not right now.
Yeah,
I'm interested right now, but it's not as strong for me right now because I don't think what happened this day for the last 15 years and what's going on in this world, not the same. So, I think it's a really good, question, Simon, but I think,
yes,
excuse me for saying this, but I think as traders, you've got to get your face out of the book sometimes and have a look at the world, because it's the world you're trading. And this is not the same world we've traded in May for that. And, buy in May and stay away. I suggest the stock market's going to rally. Maybe they are going to rally a little bit early in the month, maybe. But I'll be surprised if we have a green May bar on the stock markets at the moment. I think we're going to have a red. Personally, I think we're going to have a red bar, and I think what you've got to be able to do is look. Okay, well, seasonality is huge, and look, we started off early in the year talking about buying oil, and we started to, and I've been talking about buying it on the way down and ways of doing that. But you can't just have the seasonal and nothing else. You've got to have a little bit of the whole thing, and I think we're, So when you say traditional right now, I don't. And again, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is the only way to look at it, the only way to do it. But for me, some of that traditional stuff isn't as strong in the weighting. If I'm 70% seasonal normally, then I'm probably 30% seasonal right now because I think it's a market that's been driven by other things. Thoughts on that, Orlando?
Yeah, sure. And I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. We're not trading we're not trading the same world that we were trading last May. And one of the main reasons that I'm a big US dollar bear right now is because I'm trading the Fed printing money like crazy. And that's it, an oversupply of US dollars. Not an oversupply, but an increase in US dollar supplies, which will devaluate the US dollar short-term, mid-term. Following, of course, technical levels on the DXY. But basically, that's what I'm trading, mate. And and my short idea here on the S&P 500 is exactly the same. I didn't look at seasonality to trade. To capture this short from the highs right here. I looked at this. Just have a look at personal consumption expenditures in the USA. They dropped 7% in March. Just look at consumer spending right here, 7% in March. If we talk about the consumer sentiment, look at March and April in the United States. This is the total inventories to sales ratio on the United States, and you can see the spike here during the 2008 recession, right? This is the numbers have not come in yet, but I do believe that we're going to have a spike on inventories to sales ratio. The unemployment rate here in this is March, it came out 4.4%, and it's expected to be up 2 digits in May, 15%, because these numbers on the unemployment claims in April have not come yet, have not been calculated into unemployment rate just yet. So I do believe that right now, yeah, we've had a rally, but I do believe that this is a bear rally that we've had from these lows. And the reason is it's very obvious because I just explained it, right? But also because I do believe, I read this incredible article by, it was in the Financial Times that that explained that investors and the market is mistaking liquidity for solvency, right? And that's, I mean, that's why we've had this Fed rally. I call it a Fed rally, right? But if we want to talk with technicals, I mean, the levels that I was looking at where the zone that I was looking to go short was this. I took a short here. It was a little bit early, but then I took another short last week here at the top. When this again, I mean, and as you can see, I do work a lot with geometrical patterns in my trading, because I do believe that it's not because they're patterns that I like to work with them. It's because what price tells me when they are about to break, right? If you look, I mean, if you look here, right, the ranges in the moves are much bigger, and because it's a triangle, price starts to compress, and when it compresses this much, it has to break to one side or the other, right? By doing back testing, I know that there's a much higher probability that it will break this one to the downside. And that's why I like it, because of what price is telling me. But also, and I'm sorry, but I don't have the pivots here. And it was very funny. I actually don't use pivot points that much, but the yearly pivot is exactly at this level. And that was pretty interesting to me. Well, the levels that I'm looking for on the S&P 500, well, the first one, of course, is the previous low. Right here. And if we go to the daily chart, let me just zoom in again. This rate looks pretty bearish in my eyes, with Fridays and Thursdays candles being this bearish, and this gap that didn't fill, right? If we open lower on Friday, on futures open, and we manage to break with these lows, then we have a clear path to test this other key level around the 2480, which is, well, my second target is this level right here. We're very close. And this is my third target on the shorts on the S&P 500. Of course, that I would be managing them. And well, if we get another relief rally, I would be stopped out at a profit. But these are the levels that I'm looking for on the S&P 500. Now, again, I will be looking for a, let's put on the correct levels here, right? I mean, my targets are these levels right here, which is the previous low of the move. But the levels that I will be looking to go short in the case that we break with them is this one right here, the 2740 to 2750 level. Again, a break and a retest would give me would give me the scenario to look for another short. And the way that I look for shorts, guys, is I don't just trade the retest, but I look again for patterns and validation levels, like the ones that you just saw here on the daily, but on the 1 hour chart. So this is the scenario that I will be looking to trade next week if it managed to play out, right? Again, it's pretty soon to know for. I mean, we can never know for with certainty, right? But this level is pretty strong, and they will be guarded with a lot of bulls, and the bears are going to have a lot of trouble swiping all those buy orders here and hitting that bid, right? Let's see what happens, and yeah, I will keep you posted. But this is the scenario that I'm looking for to play out. If bulls manage to hold this level and price starts to rally, I would be out, right? Because I'm going to move my stops at every low, at every new high. But I would definitely not be looking to buy the S&P 500 because of what I just told you. It goes against my research. So I would definitely be looking for a retest of the highs and this zone right here, the yearly pivot, for another short opportunity. I know it's a contrarian idea, but again, we're not trading the same market that we were trading at the end of the year last year, right? This is very different, and I do believe that when economic data, economic numbers and economic data just keeps piling super negative in the United States. And another thing that has got me really bearish on U.S. equities is this crazy idea to re-up in the U.S. economy too early, right? What's going to happen is what happened at the beginning of last century with the Spanish flu, that social distancing went just for a little bit, and the second wave was even worse, right? For medically speaking, and of course for the economy. So if they continue to rebel against social distancing and trying to reopen the economy too early, I do believe that this is just the start of the downfall. Another reason that I wouldn't say contrarian, because contrarian would be in my eyes to try to buy the S&P 500 above 28,000, right? 2,800. I'm sorry, but that's just me. Yeah, this is the scenario that I'm looking forward to play out next week on the S&P. And if you want, I'm just going to go ahead and very quickly do the US dollar Mexican peso, because I do believe that there's a nice opportunity to short it here. I didn't see this bar last Friday, but that's fine. Well, so we bounce off this key level, and I got stopped out on the last third of my position right here, which is completely fine. And right now, actually, I'm going to I am going to not look for a short or for a short on the US dollar Mexican peso, just based on this big rally that almost recovered all the losses from these drops. So never mind. Let's go. Why don't we go ahead and look at Brent, and then we can pass it on to Ainsley. Right. The position that I have going on Brent is purely technical, to be completely honest with you. And I didn't look at fundamentals to take this opportunity, just technicals, and it was a risk to reward based opportunity. But Ainsley, maybe you can shed a light later on how do you see the oil markets going on, right? Okay, so
up. Not going well.
Not going well.
Not going well.
All right. So, we've had some kind of, recovery in Brent and WTI, right? With
you've got a lot of specky buyers in there at the moment.
Yeah, I know.
Capacity. You got storage at near capacity. You got the only upside is those cuts that we talked about, 9.7 million barrels per day being cut from production. That cut in on Friday.
Yeah.
Okay, that cut in on Friday, it's only for 2 months. The deal was that come 1 July, that will then drop back to 7.7 million barrels per day. But whether that actually happens, because Why would you pump
Yeah.
more oil when nobody can actually store it?
Yeah.
It's
And,
interesting. We don't know.
yeah.
On the fundamental side, yeah, it's an interesting story, because the other thing is Aramco has got 28 tankers out at sea.
Yeah, I know. There's 160 million barrels placed at sea
That's
right
right. Out at sea at the moment, 160 million, which actually more than doubled from the 1st of April to the middle of April.
now. Nah, I didn't know that. That's
Yes,
horrible.
that's how quickly
Nobody wants
that's how
delivery
quickly
of that oil.
nobody wants delivery, because everybody's putting it out until the prices come back up again. But the thing is, Aramco can flood the market and absolutely annihilate the market with their
Mhm.
28 tankers. Now, those 28 tankers are going to be at bargain basement prices, because they've got to
Mhm.
shift. They're a public company, they have to shift it. But one of the things I did read is, if you are going from Saudi Arabia to China, it's not going to cost you, it's going to cost you less than 50% per day. Prices dropped on Friday to charter a tanker to take oil from Saudi Arabia. It will only now cost you $100,000 a day.
Really?
Yeah, bargain. Get me
I
too.
mean, that's why they're I mean, they're stuck in their oil at sea, right? Because it's cheaper.
I mean, these days they could pull the
Cheaper.
cruise liners up with the oil because they're not being used either.
Probably a good use for cruise liners, actually, at the moment.
That's
So
right.
here
That's
we-
right.
Here we go, guys. Orlando, why Brent and not WTI for you?
Well, the reason that I took the Brent, that took it on Brent, is because it's I find it less speculative than WTI, and
Correct.
because
What does it
because
mean? What does that mean, Orlando? For people listening, what does less speculative mean? We're
Because-
speculators, let's remember.
yeah, I mean, when I mean less speculative is I mean, everybody knows what I don't know what this is. Everybody knows what happened what happened at the end. I mean, when prices in crude oil dropped to minus 40%, right?
Yeah.
If you don't know, guys in the audience, well, what happened is that futures on crude oil WTI were expiring the next day, right? And because of the current price in oil, nobody wanted them. Nobody wanted delivery of that crude oil, and because of what Ainsley said about stock reaching capacity, right? So nobody wanted delivery on the petroleum. And when I say delivery, is because if you are holding a futures contract by expiration, you have to take you have to take delivery of the oil barrels. It's a contract, and nobody wanted that. So everybody was selling their futures contract that expired by the market's close, and obviously there were no buyers for those futures contracts, and that's why prices went negative. And the reason that that didn't affect so much Brent is because Brent is when the futures in Brent expire, it's settled in cash, right?
Yes, you don't have to have the actual oil.
Exactly. So that makes Brent less speculative and less volatile than WTI, and that's what
More
we
highly
took that.
priced at the moment, isn't it? $23 versus 8.
Yeah.
Well, the spot price on oil is a bit higher, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah, there's
so
huge contango in this market.
Your preference is Brent over WTI.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay, you've had a nice winning trade on it, right?
Yeah. I'm actually I took this long at the break of this retail. I mean of this pattern that I show you right here around 1928, and I'm still holding 1/3 of that trade for a retest of the 25 to 25.20 level. And if we manage to break with this level again, only technicals. I'm just talking technicals here, and this is very important too. This very important, very structured that we were trading in, that we retested here very strongly. Now we have broken with it. So if we manage to break with this 25, 20 to 30 level, there's a big possibility that we can go higher. to around the 30 to retest the 30, which is why I will be looking again, just technicals here, guys. We'll be looking for this play to add to my longs. Of course that if this scenario does not play out, my stops are here around the 25.50, and there's a big possibility, there's a big possibility that bears are going to be holding this level very hardly, and well, it's going to be hard for bulls to break and retest this level. But if it happens, we're going higher, definitely. But keep an eye also for let's go back to the hourly chart. Keep an eye
Can we just go back to your theory on that's going to go break higher, based on, and I get technicals. I'm a technical analyst, but at any point, do you actually get into the play of the fundamentals where it's got a lot of oil happening out there?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I said
so what's pushing that up? I mean, there's something's got to push that up, not just pretty lines on a chart. What's pushing that up for you?
Really, what's pushing this up for me is the shutting down of new wells in the United States.
There was 26 closed down, but they cannot shut them down completely. It's too expensive for them to shut them down completely.
But the thing is that
guys, I mean, at the end of the day, you're saying there's a technical pattern long here, right? And Ainsley, you're saying that you get a chance in a minute to talk more, but you're saying there's a fundamental weakness here.
Yeah. There's fundamental weakness that doesn't support, and just what I'm worried about is fundamentals when they don't support a technical chart.
Look, at the end of the day, Ainsley, I think you can always make arguments in both cases, right? Australia's easing lockdown, right?
It is.
And that will create more demand for oil in Australia, right? New Zealand is also easing lockdown, which will be driving more regularly in the next couple of weeks in this country as well. So there is a reason to believe that, what we're talking about. I've heard they're going to start the English Premier League again, not far away. There is talk about, I mean, I don't think America, the world's biggest oil users quite at this stage yet, but there is talk about a relaxation of some of the things that have dried up the demand for oil. So you can always make I'm not saying that I particularly agree with any of that. What I am saying is you can always make an argument both ways. There always is. Right. If there wasn't an argument both ways, there wouldn't be a chart, right? Because there's some people that are long and some people are short, and that's why we have a chart in the first place, right?
Exactly, that's a great point.
That's right. And that's why you've got an El Salvadorian and an Australian in the room.
Yeah, that's why I don't mind having two people on the same thing. One of the things you need to be really careful of is, guys, when you're talking about this kind of stuff, we will have our own chat room. We talk together, we trade together. There's a lot of respect for the traders in the organization. I think we need to make sure we keep this, in a way that reflects that,
absolutely.
There's always going to be different views and different things go on with it. And that's personally for mine, if you're listening to this show, I think you want to hear the truth. And if two people have got different views, we should have those open. There shouldn't be any bullshit hiding that stuff from you guys. That's not helping you as traders. You're entitled to different views. And, so far we've talked about my belief that we're trading coronavirus, other people say we're just trading the technicals. Well, fair, good on them, right? That's okay. Someone's going to say seasons are just the same. They're entitled to the opinion. At the end of the day, we put our opinions in the market and the market pays people to get it right. That's how it works, right? And there's one thing that I just, this is how I can tell the frauds from the real people. Frauds say have to. Anyone in trading that says have to is full of bullshit. No one who's ever traded with any reasonable amount of money ever says a market has to do anything, because there's no such thing, right?
No.
There's absolutely no such thing, right?
But we'll do its
so what we're talking about is what might happen, what we believe will happen. But honestly, hand on heart, I can't tell you what's going to happen here. I don't believe either of you can tell us exactly what's going to happen here. They're just different opinions to throw around, right? I think it's really important to have both the opinions. I think we need to be really careful. We don't get too distracted from them. Well, you've got a technical pattern up. You've got I can see this. You've got a break of a resistance trend line. You've got a pretty close attempt to retest it. You've got some bounce off it, and you've got a target up above. And I think that first target of yours, particularly, the 25.70 or 25.
This one,
that is. Yeah.
This is the 25.30.
Looks like a good target to me. Yeah, I would have thought that even if oil is going to go down, it's going to find some top end target at some stage to have a play with. So I would be also surprised to see it have a pop up at that. And the rest of this guys can watch it during the week and make their own decisions. But this scenario that you've got up on the chart is very realistic. Not that I'm saying it's going to happen, but it's possible. I can see your belief is going to come through.
It's possible.
At the same time, we all know what we're dealing with oil, right? And we all know that for that to happen, one thing has to happen. They can't cut production of oil enough, in my view, to push the price of oil up substantially. We're going to have to see some demand come back, and probably at some
That's
stage.
what we're waiting for.
That's what we're waiting for. And you know, one thing that will happen is that the minute the market feels that there's a date where that might happen, the market will start speculating on it. We don't have to know it's going to happen. You know, as soon as people believe that the US economy is going back to normal, people will be buying oil and getting ready for that. Well, it won't be all of a sudden there's demand and the market responds. The market will get in front of it. That's what we do, right? So it's going to be a fascinating. The thing I'm getting from this conversation is it's going to be a fascinating week for oil, and it's been a fascinating couple of months for oil. It's been brilliant fun watching it, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
I got out of a long and profit on this year, this in the last month. I'm pleased I got out of that after that, to be fair, because it didn't do well after that, my long. But I'm pleased I got my little run up and a bit of money taken off it. It's possible to do all things in all ways.
Yeah, look, and anything's possible, and it becomes speculative. And as we've just discussed, yes, it is a different market. Yes, we've got a technical chart, and yes, we've got fundamentals. And it comes down to who actually puts the trade on and what they believe in, and what really pushes the market along.
Yeah, I've got a couple of great questions for you here. And what I'd like to do is I'd actually like the guys who've asked them. Melvin, is there any place to see how much oil China has stocked up so far? Look, Melvin, what I really encourage you to do.
I won't tell you.
Well, go and see if you can find it. It'll be somewhere. Someone will have an opinion on that. Go and see if you can find it and bring it and share it with us. You know, I think it's a fascinating question. Again, Ainsley does a lot of research on this, says they won't tell us. There'll be someone out there saying that, you know, they've restocked 50% or 70%. There'll be someone who has an opinion on it. I think you'd be careful with the next one, livid. As long as oil does not reach the market, the supply is reduced. Can I assume that? I don't think so. I think when oil doesn't reach the market, it gets stored on tankers around the world and we have an oversupply. And that's part of what's causing this low price. It's oil that's, we'd say, not reached the market. It's been produced but not sold. That's the problem. Not being produced, not being pumped, that reduces supply. Orlando, I'm going to get you to finish up. Then we're going to get to Ainsley and Jeff. Gosh, Jeff, I've got a phone call to make in 17 minutes. We're going to give Jeff some time on this.
Go ahead,
Poor man's been sitting patiently.
I'm thinking shiploads at the moment. What I'm getting is shiploads.
It's
You're right, Jeff. You're off the floor.
He's it's Sunday evening in Tasmania, and Jeff is thinking, this is fascinating, but I can't have my bottle of wine until we finish this, guys. Can we move on to the bottle of wine now tonight?
That's right. Go have another cup of coffee, Orlando, and go to bed.
No, I'm good with coffee, mate. I'm good with coffee.
Orlando, are you finished on oil?
Yeah, sure. Take it on, Nancy.
I think we've had a good chat on oil.
Actually, I do have a couple of questions for Orlando. I'm getting a few questions about pound New Zealand. Do you have a quick opinion on pound New Zealand, Orlando?
Yeah, sure, mate.
So before we hand over.
Yeah, pound New Zealand dollar. So the pound New Zealand dollar, pretty interesting. Actually, this is one of the pairs that I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to discuss it pretty quickly. Looking pretty bearish to me right now. Technically speaking, right, we hit this previous high, this previous key level around the 20, the 07, the 207.05 level. And if you look at how it closed, the last 4 hour candle engulfs the last 4 candles, right? So pretty bearish to me. But again, that might be just liquidation by the end of the week. I want to see how it opens. How this opens, but definitely my validation level for a short is below this. Let me just point it out, guys. It's this level. Below this low will be my validation level for a short, and it could be a pretty explosive short given the fact that we had this 390 pip move to the downside. Also favoring the short side, technically speaking, because we are making lower highs and lower lows. I would be targeting this previous base right here, just because I do want to get filled on my targets, and because of this candle right here, pretty important candle in my eyes. I mean, as you've noticed, I do take a lot of time looking at a chart and looking for these key levels, because I want to see where big money is stepping in on the
Orlando,
market.
bit of
Yep.
support around, is it
20,
20465?
yeah.
A bit higher up, if you have a look up there as well.
Hold on, let me just thicken this chart out for you. So yeah, validation level, 205, 0560, with stop losses above the high end, and this support zone is the 20380, 20385, 0390, 20390. So this would be the scenario that I would like to see play out for a short on the pound versus the New Zealand dollar.
Cheers, Orlando. Thanks. Okay, back to Ainsley. Ainsley, let's do some more on
Yeah.
oil and gold, eh?
Okay. Paul, could you help me out here, please, with some charts before I get blown away, please?
Let me get AW Blank up and
I'll stop
share.
sharing my chart.
Cheers, Orlando. We'll back to. Thank you very much for that, Orlando. Much appreciated. I do want to. Gosh, the Zoom is brilliant, but it just gives me my moments of. I want to do that. I'm pretty sure. You guys got that now? Just want to remind guys, if you want to get into Orlando's premium Forex signals group, you can do that for $9.95 for the first month. It's only $39.95 per month after that. And he'll also put you into his chat group for 1 month as well for that. If you want to listen to him daily talking about markets, you're welcome to do that. Thanks for coming in, Orlando. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you, mate,
Thanks,
for inviting
darling.
me. Okay, good.
Right, we are looking at where we're going first, Ainsley.
Let's just finish off with oil.
You want Brent or WTI?
WTI, please, because that is speculative, which is what a lot of our. Wow. Yeah. So in the scheme of things, there's a daily chart. It has gone up. Let's just say it hasn't gone down. But as you can see from that kind of market, she's not healthy. It's not a healthy market. It's just sitting there waiting. I'm not trading it at all. And when you look at the Brent chart, like we've just seen with Orlando, completely different perspective. And I get what he's saying, and I understand his technicals. And when you, like you said, you look at that, and it looks like it's pounding all over. It looks like it's going to try and close that gap and all the rest of it. That's what it looks like on a chart. But as you know, I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of research on oil, and it's a tough market. It's a really tough market. We don't have commercial traders in there at the moment. We've got people with a lot of oil out at sea. So from the 1st of April to the middle of 16th of April, 160 million barrels went out to sea, more than doubled the storage. The storage capacity is nearly at full capacity. Now, the Australian government a couple of weeks ago decided that it was a good idea to go and stockpile oil like China is doing. They don't have any storage facilities in Australia, and they were going to go look in the US. There is nothing in the US either. I don't know what happened there. I don't know who wasn't looking at what, but that was the thing. There are governments out there looking to stockpile as well, but they've got nowhere to actually store it. Lloyd sent us a beautiful chart the other day, and he put it on our trading team Telegram group, and it was a world picture of all the tankers out at sea with oil, and it was just a frightening thing. It just looked like there was more water than there was more oil than with tankers than there was oil in the oceans. It was that much. So this is where I'm saying it is all right to look at a chart and go, oh yeah, that looks all right. This looks like it's going to go in that direction. But we also have to be, and whilst I'm a certified financial technician, I can look at these charts, and I look at these charts a lot. What I also have to do is take a step back and have a look at the big picture and look at the fundamentals that can actually support that. And what the fundamentals are saying is that there are no commercials buying oil. Nobody is being speculative except for retail traders. It's the small traders that are pushing that up. And if you go back to the WTI and the daily, it's a small little move, a really small little move. Got it. Look at that. It's a nothing. That's a broken market at the moment. So would I trade oil at the moment? No. And everybody knows I love trading oil. I love it. But I have not taken an oil trade for the last week and a half. So it's just the way it is. Until the manufacturing starts opening again. And don't forget, China has been stockpiling now for 3 weeks, and they've been going hard. And 2 weeks ago, they told their agents to double the amount that they actually were instructed to stockpile in the first place. So God knows how much that they've got stockpiled away. Like I said, out of everybody, China must be the biggest ones laughing at the moment, because after having to pay $50, $60 a barrel, they're now paying next to nothing. So good luck to
Ainsley. I'm just trying to just check on some questions while I'm talking to you. It doesn't look like there's too much more come in. Plenty of people on the YouTube channel. Good to have your company. Good, plenty to have on Zoom as well. It's been a pretty long TTO. We'll keep it going.
Sorry, guys.
For the guys in the room, for you, oil is a no trade, right?
No trader for me at the moment. I need some more substantial fundamentals to back up my credentials on my charts, and that's nothing.
If you're a retail trader in WTI and you want to play in this market, you need to know when the futures contracts next expire, because if they got to minus $40 this time, if there's not an increase in demand, you could get caught in a pretty, that'll be the next real test of these lows.
Yeah.
If these futures contracts, if the May futures contracts, I think, is it 27 May? I can't remember. If these May futures contracts, you have a list?
I've got a list, and
we have a higher low, you can be, you can start and talk about oil in a positive way. But boy, I wouldn't be taking, let me get this clear. I think there's an oil buy here, which is the trade of a lifetime. I really do. I think there's a trade coming in the next 12 months. If you can get oil in the right place, you'll get in 3 or 4 times. And I think doubling your account would be a disappointing result. I think it's that good a trade. But if you get any time you get a trade on with that much interest on one side of it, the other side of it is really, really dangerous. And if we get into these futures contracts and we put a higher low in, I think we're starting to have it. That's a real signal you can start and buy off. But before the end of these futures contracts, I would be loath to get too committed to a long. It doesn't mean you can't trade long, but I wouldn't be taking long-term positions so long, because this could end up. And as you guys will have seen from your brokers, if it goes below $7 on the on these platforms, the brokers are going to stop them, close them up, and make them close only. So you can't buy them anymore. They're going to make trading. They may compulsory close you down here as well. So you need to be pretty careful.
Yeah. So just
it doesn't mean you're a short-term buyer. It just means be careful. And Ainsley is leave it alone. On to gold, Ainsley.
Gold. Now, whilst you're pulling up the gold chart, what was interesting in this last week was the use of gold for a particular country. And one of the things was Venezuela, and a deal done between Venezuela and Iran. Now, Venezuela is an oil producing country, and it had a small problem with its refineries. However, Venezuela and Maduro's government had a little issue with the US government, and they were refused help by the US government on their oil refineries. And Iran came and helped Venezuela out, fixed up their refineries and all the rest of it. But Venezuela couldn't pay them. However, they can pay them in cash, can pay them in money. So Venezuela had put a proposition to Iran, and Iran accepted it. And they've been sending planes over, a lot of planes over to Venezuela to pick up 9 ton of gold. $500 million worth of gold. The Venezuelan government paid the Iranian government for their help with fixing out their refineries. So as some of these poorer third world countries cannot cope with cash payments, they do have stores of gold, and this is what they're resorting to. Interesting. But here we go. We've had a double top, as we talked about last week, on a daily chart on gold.
Interesting, actually, for mine. You talk about different markets. So gold has dropped $240 and gone up $260 in 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Big moves historically on gold.
big moves. Don't call that a safe haven. And those big drops that we saw was as the S&P and the Dow Jones took a nosedive, and people needed something of substance to be able to convert to pay out their shorts and cover margin calls.
I'm not sure why my horizontal level line's pink today. I really cannot remember why that happened or how that happened. In fact, I'm going to deny knowledge of it. We'll move on.
That's all right. It was talking to me. It's
There you
pink. We're
go.
good.
There you go.
So we had a double top. We had a pullback. Could we drop down to a 4-hourly chart? Because it was a very interesting 4-hourly chart. I took another position. So gold tanked last week. We were expecting a tank in gold because we were expecting a few other things to come back and retest, and the commercials had stopped buying, Helen. So it came back. But if you could put a little line across the bottom at 1670 area, please, or 1668, I think is it. Up. That's it. In through there.
So I can't see the this
That's
pink
good.
is not working out well from a readability point of view for me. I can't actually read my own pricing. I really can't remember why this happened.
That's all right. I
Yeah,
can say it. 1670. It's about the 1670 line. Should we get back
I'll get
into
away from
on?
peg. I might make it yellow. That'll make it stand out nice and clear. There we are,
Just-
1671. There you go.
Yeah, it's around that 1670 line. Look how often
yeah.
that's been tested. Bang, bang, bang. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Now, because it was Friday night and had nothing better to do, I jumped into another position I took a small position up at 1675 off that bounce. And I just thought it always bounces up off of that level. So I took a nice position off 1675 and wrote it up. Now, what happens with gold? I'm not sure. You look at that and you've got, if you look at the top of the pink line and your yellow line, that's a really strong consolidation box. And at the moment, that 1671 also correlates to where it hits the 20 EMA, the exponential moving average, which is.
Oh, yeah, just reading some questions. Looking for, you want a 20 EMA on this chart?
I'm just saying this where it correlates. You don't have to put it on. That if
No,
anybody's a chart, that's where a 20 moving average is sitting on that last dip down where I took off the bounce. No, on a daily. You're on a 4-hour.
Yep.
Yeah, so look at that. Closed on the 20 and then bounced up from there. Went down, checked those levels out, and then came back up again. Like I said, we've got a double top there in play. Whether that actually continues to the downside, I don't know. But if governments, because governments can't use Bitcoin or anything like that either. If governments, particularly ones that are struggling, that need to do something to prop up their economy, they're going to use their gold reserves. Just
Okay,
like Venezuela.
For mine, this is one of these really fascinating charts for mine. So I've got a double top, right?
Yeah.
For me to be convinced this is going short, I need a lower high, probably somewhere around there, right?
Yeah.
Now, it's also got a bit of a rangy look to it. It's got a couple of heads at this bottom as well,
That's right? That's
And if
right.
it's
So on the 4-hourly, it's really clear.
bouncing
It's
off the
really
bottom.
clear. Yeah.
Either way, it looks to me like we'll see some buying on this Monday morning, even if it only pops it up into this area here over, maybe on a 4-hourly chart. Just give us that's actually that's more concerning to me, because now I've got on the 4-hourly chart.
Yeah, can you see it clearer?
Lower high and this bar here. That bar there. If you're a 4-hour, if you're a trader and you get a test of a level, that bar there is a potential sell. But that bar there and that bar there, you shouldn't be missing those. They are just great sells. And then you get that to put you into that move there. And then you get that. And I wouldn't be trading. Look, you don't get into this first thing Monday morning, for God's sake. Give it a bit of time. No. But it does look, when you look at this and all of a sudden you do think a little more, well, actually, on a 4-hourly chart, what I do have setting up here is some lower highs and some lower lows. And it changes a little bit for me. If it pulls back down here and gives me a higher low, well, then I think we're coming back towards the top of the range. But and again, if it wants to, even pop into this area in reverse and give me a lower high on the daily and a lower high on the 4 hourly, that'll convince me. I am looking for the short, but it's not as clear to me now because I thought a move up was inevitable on the daily chart, but on the 4 hourly chart, open here, come out the bottom, make some ring high, and pop back down here looks just as likely to me.
That's
The
exactly.
nice clear signals on gold, aren't they? They're nice clear signals.
And that's what I love about gold. It's quite didn't to start with, as you know, but I do like gold because it does give you clear levels. It does give you clear signals. It's I don't know, reliable.
If you've done Master Trader with PH and done some of those courses we talk about it, it is simply ring high, ring low, another ring low to get you in really, ring low, ring high,
Yep,
ring high, ring low. They're just beautiful signals. If you've done our education and you're trading this, you'd be looking to do pretty well out of it.
Yeah, so it's there, it's moving. Jeff should love this chart, shouldn't you, Jeffy? Because it's just ranging all over the place.
Absolutely. If I traded this bloody, what is it called? Gold thing.
Gold. It's gold.
Yeah, that looks gorgeous. That looks absolutely
If you're not quite
gorgeous.
sure what it is, ask your wife. She'll let you know.
Yeah, she knows all about it. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. Look, you didn't even have a close below that level, that yellow level. Look at that yellow line. Hello.
Paul, you excited
seriously.
me when you said there's a potential higher low coming. That would work for me.
Yeah, man, I could see you. Actually, we're gonna have a good chat tomorrow, Jeff. I got some interesting stuff to talk to you about tomorrow.
Awesome.
Look,
So I'm not sure what. To be quite honest, I don't know. I've got an extra position that I took on Friday just because, and I chucked it on, and it was a nice little move up from to 1700. Nice. Okay. If it tanks, I've got a tight stop under it. That's fine. I've got another position, a larger position that I've taken at 1500. I want it to keep going. That's a long-term trade for me. That's fine. But in and out on a smaller basis, you look at that, and I'm not a range trader, but yeah.
Ainsley, can you explain for the gentleman? He said, is pip value the same on gold as it is for Japanese yen? So is a cent a pip?
No, it depends on your broker. It will change. It will differ from broker to broker.
Okay. So look, one of the things that we do, and you can argue that in gold, a cent is a pip. And when we do the results of our traders, we make a pip as 10 cents. Otherwise, results, you can make $100 and you get about 1,000, 10,000 pips. It looks crazy. But it's not the same. One of the things I'll be doing, if you're a currency trader and you're trading gold, you need bigger stop losses because it is cents, and spreads are wider. If you come over here, right click on your chart, you can turn spreads on. I'm just turning mine off. I'll turn them back on.
Yes, and I've got to say, Paul, when I was learning to trade gold, it was one of the hardest things for me. I kept getting flicked out of trades all the time because my stop losses weren't wide enough. And that's when I went back to Julian and I said, I'm better off wearing gold than I am trading it because it just kept nailing me. Now, gold should be it should be around 35 and it's sitting there at 96. And
yeah, so again, to be clear, when it's 96, it's 96 cents at the moment, right? Bid is 99.84 and ask is 1,700. So it's round figure as well, just to make it interesting. It's the bid price at MT4 charts. So it's 96 cents. We've seen gold spreads recently up around $2.30, $2.50, but they're coming back. They should be about 30, you think, Ainsley?
Yeah, it should be around 30 cents. It should be 96.
We should remember weekends spreads always push out a little bit. Be nice if this could get down a little bit again. Trading gold on a 96 pip spread, on a dollar. When you're trading gold on a dollar spread, you've got to be pretty good. You can't trade it short term. You've got to be a little bit longer on those kind of markets. Okay, Angie, see if I got this right. For you, oil's a no trade. And for you, gold's a developing question. Ranging at the moment, you've got a long-term longer you're going to hold on to. You wouldn't be surprised to a little bit more selling first.
Yeah, look, typical. Let's just see what happens with the demand. And at the moment, the fundamentals, because this is such a different environment, and as you know, I love to follow the seasonals, but at the moment, the seasonals are not as strong a bias for me. It's what I'm reading every day and what's happening in the market. And price is king at the end of the day. It's how we work out what's going on. But this is developing market, and will more countries like Venezuela resort to their gold reserves to pay other countries? Who knows? Who knows? And if that's the case, that what happens to the demand in gold? It will go up because it becomes a traded currency. So, yeah, I don't know. You've got to have a sit and watch that, because you got four strong bounces off that yellow level of support. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Look, one of the things we're saying, Ainsley, is that, below this 1670 level, that's a different game right now. We are starting to get bearish, right? We get down there, look, a lower high starting to develop here, suggests we're going to come down and test this, but really not much else, but a break and retest below here, and all of a sudden it's a different world, and we're looking in a different place. Look, I think the same goes for the top, right? If we did get a run up to the top, that's cool, could be in the range, but a break and a retest and a push up, and all of a sudden the bulls will be back in charge here, and all the talk. I mean, literally a week ago, the talk was $3,000.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden now, the talk is $1,500, and that's gold at the moment. It is volatile. We're in an interesting market. And look, my encouragement to you, and one of the reasons I'll be careful trading gold, what you want to do at the moment as a trader is pick your bias, take your trade, keep your stop loss reasonably close, and get knocked over, and then take a huge win. Right? Because you'll get the huge win if you stay in the game, because there are big moves going on here. But what you don't want to do is get stuck on one side of this if you can avoid it at all. Final comment before, guys, again, for the guys on YouTube, here's what I'd like to ask you to do. If you're on YouTube and you're enjoying this, then give us a like, give us a thumbs up. And if you're on YouTube and you're not enjoying this, well, go and watch something else and have a good time. There's some war game, there's some game of something. There's one of those video games. Sorry?
Partridge Family replays.
Yeah.
Most people wouldn't know what the Partridge Family was, Jeff.
That's why I said
family replays. If you want to torture yourself, you can go to. Look, guys, great to have so many in YouTube watching. Great to see the YouTube channel generally working really well. And what I am pleased about, I've got on YouTube not full screen, but the clarity of that chart seems a lot better to me today than it has done recently. Guys, are you noticing that? Is the YouTube chart clear at your place as well? Or is it because I don't have YouTube in full screen mode so I can see the questions that looks better to me? Either way, my YouTube chart clarity is really good, and it hasn't always been really good. If you've got any tips for the other guys on watching this, because obviously having the charts clear is really good. So is it better for you guys? Let me know. It is better for you guys. If you're doing anything in particular, let me know. Is it going into full screen that makes it go blurry? Sometimes the charts seem a bit blurry to me. Okay, Ainsley, you
I'm done.
Look, I shouldn't forget this, Ainsley. What are you doing next weekend?
Look, I won't be here, guys. It's Mother's Day.
What are you doing on Saturday?
Oh, what am I doing on Saturday? I'm going next Sunday. I won't be in on the TTR. Next Saturday, if anybody would like to know how I trade, what I trade, and have me explain how I trade, when I trade, what I trade, and how I make a reasonable amount of money so I can stay at home and look after my kids, that is what I'm doing next Saturday.
Very cool. It is, as I remember it.
Thanks, Helen.
Sorry, I'm just having to send a message while I'm doing this. I'm trying to do it in the middle of the show. So if you're an Actions to Wealth mentorship student, then the session with Ainsley next Saturday is free for you. It'll be running from about 9:30 to 6. Get in early. I had a quick look at the registration sheet earlier on today. We're about 16 short of being at capacity on the webinar. So it's only free for you if you get registered quick enough to get in. For the members, there was a deal for you at, I think, $497. For the non-members at $14.97 to spend a day with Ainsley. Ainsley, full-time income, send the kids to good private schools, income derived from trading profits, right?
That's right. And unfortunately, one too many pairs of shoes in lockdown. But anyway, I'll
Yep. You know, Ainsley, even in lockdown, you could actually buy your shoes in Australia. You know, they're a lot cheaper if you buy them in Australia.
Oh, are you kidding? Not the shoes I buy. Don't be ridiculous. But I just thought
If you
Dr.
want
Chris.
to learn to live like this lady, make sure you turn up next Saturday and listen to her speak. And Ainsley, here's the rules, right? 95% trading content, just a few minutes on shoes, if you don't mind. Rightio, guys. Ainsley will be in next Saturday for the Actions to Us clients. You won't be in next Sunday. We'll probably have Orlando come and do Golden Oil. We will have Julian with us next Sunday as well, as he'll be our special guest on analysis. The week after, Paul Hutton is joining us in that role. But next we go to Jeff to talk technicals. Been a good week technically, Jeff? Thanks, Ainsley. Thank you very much.
Okay. See you later. Bye, everyone.
See you, mate. I'll send you up some wallaby warmers or some wombat warmers for Mother's Day if you like.
I'm good. I've got my Aussie bred Uggies on at the moment, but they only stay inside.
Aussie bred made in where? Taiwan, is it? I
haven't checked the labels, but you know, they are.
Sometimes you're better not to know, right?
Correct.
I'll leave it with you.
Rightio, Jeff, what do you got for us? What are we looking at today?
Mate, look, actually embarrassed by the amount of opportunities that will come up next week, and I really don't know where to start. But let's go back to
start at the beginning and go to the end.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. I think there's about 8 that I want to look at, but I'll give you some updates on where we're at with the trades that we've been broadcasting in particular in this show. And God bless the Aussie. You've got to say, God bless the Aussie dollar, because it's been absolutely an outstanding performer for us. And I've got to say,
wasn't it? It was due, Jeff. It's been anything but. It's been an outstanding performer to trade, but it's been going in one direction for a long time. It's nice to see a proper bounce.
And that's been okay, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, you've done okay. Absolutely. I can't. Pardon me. You know what, Paul? I think of all the things that I've learned over the years, the very best rewards that I get from trading is when you get great exits. And I think we had some really cool ones this week on the Aussie pairs.
I actually wrote an article on exits about 2 weeks ago and asked my wife to edit it for me. She still hasn't done it.
Right. Okay.
So I will bring something out, because I'm with you, Jeff. Boy, if you want to improve your trading results, try getting out in the right place. It makes a huge difference.
Hell yes. And look, it's hard to get right, to be fair. And most of us struggle with that all the time. But when it's technical, gee, it's not that bad. It's so cool, it's so fluent, and it's so easy. And I should never use that word, and I apologize for those of you who struggle through the week. Easy is not a word I should use with trading at all. But we had some really good exits this week with the Aussie pairs.
I don't know. Jesus, how good! And we've got to stop using, being careful with words we use. You've had a stellar couple of months, haven't you?
Yeah, pretty cool. Very happy with the way it's going. And
one of the things with some of the longer time frame, I mean, when we were doing this in the early days, we were trading this on 30-minute charts, and that was that, right? But I don't recall seeing you make as many pips over 2 or 3 months as I've seen in the last 2 or 3 months. I could be wrong. I don't mind if you're trading that closely, but the pip count looks ridiculous to me.
The pip count is ridiculous. Never before. It's just new ground, entirely new ground. And that's based on a lot of things. Primarily, it's based on the opportunities that this organization has given me, to be fair. And, you know, guys, I could turn up at, my time, 8:15, 8:30, which is an hour and a half into this show every week. But I wouldn't do that for love nor money, because the people that are preceding me are giving me education as I go along. And I've been trading for, 13 years. I'm learning stuff as I go along, and it's absolutely wonderful. And if I can apply that to my trading, which I have done, absolutely have done through the last 2 or 3 years, it makes a massive difference. And I've not only gone from a 30 pip trader to a, let's call it flexible. What have I got, Paul? I think it's nearly 3,000 pips in the last month, 6 weeks.
Wow.
Congratulations, Jeff. That is
Jesus, that
awesome.
is incredible. I mean, again, Jeff, you're not talking about, you're not the trend trader selling
No.
a couple of large moves on a 200-point stop. You know, you're doing this off some. Whoa, that is ridiculous.
It is pretty crazy, and as I said, unheralded. But the reason has got to be what I've just mentioned. Or with the addition, we're in a very volatile situation. And as we've all said for many, many years, volatility creates opportunity. And that's exactly what we're seeing. I seem to be trading trends without actual knowledge of that. What I'm actually trading is bounces off structures. And I've said this for many, many moons on this show and many others. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you at the moment. There's that many opportunities coming up.
I'm going to jump in, and I don't mean to, because I know we've been at this for an hour and a half already, and we're going to go another half hour and figure out the sound of this, Jeff. But I need to jump in on a couple of things, right? Look, there's some things that we're going to, on Wednesday, I'm doing a regular slot through May during the coronavirus lockdown in Singapore, 6:30 every Wednesday. I'm talking about different things. And one of the things we're trying to do this week is get them into small groups, 2 or 3 people, and have them work together. And
Cool.
you know, we talk a lot on the early stuff about Lloyd and Shirlene and Saha and their group and the progress they made as a group. But really, again, I want to make the point. You and Ash, people are talking about your show here, and if you can watch Jeff and Ash in the UK session or the US session, it's an awesome show. But you and Ash really interest me because working together has been great for both your trading, right?
Without doubt, yes.
But you're not the same guys, right?
Totally, and we trade totally differently, and we see things completely differently. But I think because we do that, and because we can actually, and we have the kahunas, I suppose, to say to each other, mate, seriously, here's what I see. And we don't say don't trade that, but we do say, here's what I see. And that does make a difference. It really does, because it might be something that you haven't seen. And it does give you a view on what the charts are saying or what fundamentally is going on in the world. I think if I could bring a case to point, and I can't off the top of my head, but there'll be times where I'm seeing something that just stands out, and Ash will say to me, did you realize that Boris Johnson just said this, or he just tweeted that, or whatever the case may be? And I'll say, well, no, I didn't realize that. And sure enough, that'll make the big difference. That'll be a big move in one direction. It'd be at 30 pips, 100 pips, whatever the case may be. I could have been in deep shit if, SH1T, if Ash hadn't pointed that out. So I think that's the value of having someone beside you or a team around you that says, okay, well, hang on a minute. This may not be as clear cut as you see it.
I do want to move on because we're here to talk about charts. I know guys want to talk charts, but I think it's a really important thing you just touched on there, Jeff, right? A team that supports you and a partner that looks at the world differently. When we do this thing where we start and put people together in groups of 2 and 3, everyone's going to want people who are the same as them and have the same thought process and the same to be with. And those people are a waste of your time. It's people who see stuff differently that adds to you, not people who see stuff the same.
Absolutely.
Having a team that sees the world the same is important. Having an individual to trade with who brings additional skills to what you do is also important. I like again, I think we often talk about Lloyd and Shirlene about how different their personalities are around risk. You know, you've got one who's completely conservative, one who's completely aggressive, and how putting them together help them to find some common ground around that kind of stuff. It's really good for you to do that. Having somebody who just goes, yep, I agree with you. Yep, I agree with you. You agree with me. I agree with you. You agree. Pointless exercise. Not trading your own.
Yeah, the Mutual Admiration Society doesn't really do much for you at the end of the day.
It's not here for, you know, at the end of the day, look, if we get to Bali this year, I know that you and Ash will sneak off and have a beer together and chat and love life, right? And you get on really well. But that's not the point, right? That's a bonus, right? It's a great bonus. It'll be an important thing in 30 years. You guys are all mates.
30 years, but Jesus. Do you think I'll live that long?
You and me won't be here, but Ash will still be around. He'll still have some friends. Let's get back to the charts, mate. You're on Euro Oz.
All right. Well, this is the brag tape, I suppose. The red line is where I got out of the market, having traded this Euro Aussie twice. That was the last one I traded. The first one I traded was up here. So really going well. Pound Aussie, exactly the same scenario. That was the last one I traded. The first one I traded was up here. Dollar yen, we're now out of that as well. I've closed all of these positions that I've been in. Aussie dollar, exactly the same thing. But here's the thing. We're still in a structure with Aussie dollar, and I do expect this to go at least to 66.75. So I'm, as of tomorrow morning, looking for a long here on Aussie dollar. May well go down to the pivots. Weekly pivot will move, of course, but the monthly pivot is pretty much where the weekly pivot was. I think that's okay, because that will still give us the cycle of higher highs and higher lows. This is the daily chart, so happy to do that. I'm the only trade I'm in right now, and it seems that every man and his dog is in this trade. I'm not sure why, but it's kind of one of my things. Off the top of the range, double top and a lower high. Not only that, we got a nice little genuine slingshot set up here, and that's exactly what we've traded. So we're in dollar Swissy short. The thing here is, of course, is we've broken loose, if you like, of not only the rectangle that represents our trading range, but we've also haven't had a close below it, but we've had a little bit of peak below it. So I'm happy to stay in this. I think Orlando covered this very well, dollar Swissy, and I'm on board with him 100%. And I think this can go quite some way. We've already taken slingshot people, two lots of profits on this. So also in the third position. If the third position were to go down to here, we'd be very, very happy, I would have thought. That's the only trade I'm in at the moment. I'm about to give you probably 4, maybe 5 for not necessarily Monday morning, but definitely throughout the week. Euro dollar is one of them. And pardon me, I've still got to be a bear euro dollar based on, looks like I've taken everything off my chart, but really at the end of the day, this has been in a long-term downtrend. Let me put those levels in, I suppose. It makes it a whole lot easier to describe it. This is not 100%, but it's pretty close to the mark. When I trade levels or ranges, I'm looking to trade off the top down to the bottom, from bottom to the top, etc., etc. The last time we came off this particular, that's a little bit better. This particular structure was to the, pardon me, I'm struggling here with my voice, was to, interestingly on this weekly chart, it's now changed, but I've been looking for the longest time for price to go high, low, high, low, high, low. It's got stuck in the middle of this range, and that's where it becomes a little bit tricky. But the range is the range. And what we're looking to do really at the end of the day is trade this back to the top. So a little bit sticky in here. It's not very clear, but when you put a range inside the range, if you like, it becomes a little more clear. So let's go back to the 4-hour chart that I started on and show you what I see. So I'm maybe bullish longer term, but I'm definitely at this point in time looking at the top of a range. And when I see the top of a range, I'm expecting price to come back, give me a lower high and trade it to the bottom. This looks like an ideal opportunity. Daily pivot's going to move, obviously, but monthly pivot won't. Let's say the daily pivot moves to here. That's fine. Weekly pivot moves to here, pretty much monthly pivot level. That'd be awesome, because that's going to be a magnet to price. If you can find a way to trade that to their happy days, and then if you get a bounce off that, and this is like maybe Wednesday, Thursday, we'll be looking to trade this to the bottom of the range. So 2 lots of opportunities here for me. Off the top to the pivots when they develop. Monthly pivot won't change, as I said, and then look for the lower high, trade it to the bottom. But that's as far as I want to go, because the longer term structure is telling me maybe we're going back to the top of that range. Euro pound is already on the way to the top of that range. And of course, the weekly pivot will move, but there's nothing to do here until we do get to the top of that range. And once we do, then of course, we're looking for one of two things. And I guess for those of you who don't know how I trade, I probably should point that out just a little bit more clearly. It's not just a matter of obviously getting to the top and going, okay, let's get in. That's not the way I trade at all. What you need to look at is, and we talk about it often, yes, come to the top. One of two things are going to happen here. One is you're going to bounce off the top. The other is you're going to break out. But even when that's done, there's two things that I look at. And one is it's going to come back and retest that top, and then you can look for the breakout. Or it's going to come back inside that range, and then you can look to trade it back to the bottom, because ranges and any range you care to nominate will break not 100% of the time, not even 50% of the time, not even 30% of the time. They don't break out often. So I'm always looking for false breaks rather than real breaks. So the potential for this to come back into here, retest the top maybe, or even give us a higher low anywhere, and then go back to the bottom of the range. That's all I need to see. Take profit there, leave something open, and that's where we're getting real good results at the moment. If we leave something open and the range breaks, we're getting some excellent results. But if it does break out and you can trade the retest point, happy days. So two ways to look at it: up, back, long, or up, back inside, lower, high, short. It's really as simple as that, the method that I'm using to trade at the moment. There is nothing more complex than that. It's really, really a simple formula that I'm using.
Let me jump in. It goes to the top and it bounces down, method one.
Yep.
Right? It goes to the top and it breaks out and it retests and extends, method two.
Yep.
It goes to the top, it breaks out, it comes back inside, retests the top and goes down, method three.
Mm-hmm. And you can trade every single one of them.
There's no book in that, mate. We're not going to be able to write a book like that. I mean, we need to have a book. We've got lots and lots of fluff and all kinds. I mean, you're going to complicate and difficult. It's pretty simple, isn't it, mate?
Well, to me it is, mate. And if it's simple, then I can follow it. I love listening. As I said, I love listening to the complexity of trading. I love listening to the fundamental analysis that you need to do. But for me, the only way I need to know is if that does one of those three things, and you've done it in a nutshell. One of those things is going to work. It's a matter of getting your system right as to which one is telling, or which particular candle pattern, I suppose, is telling you where it's going to go next.
You're going to enjoy it, mate. I'm going to show you another way of doing this. I've got another way of trading range. You're going to love it. It's awesome. I've been practicing it for the last couple of weeks. Yeah, it's brilliant. Honestly, that's what happens when you sit on a pilot programs with Julie and you just go, wow. And what's more, it's going to take me about 15 seconds to explain it to you.
Awesome.
It's just brilliant. And it's just, you know, it's like when you talk to that man, sitting on his program, mate, it's just amazing. It's just ridiculous, some of the stuff. He talks about stuff and it's just so obvious. And you just think, how come that's not in my brain? How come when I've listened to him for longer than anyone else? Look, Simon, you guys will all get the stuff from Julian at some point. I'm working on his pilot program. You know, Simon, everything you ask me to share, everything we know about Forex trading, we share with you guys. We're not going to give it a secret. It's just a matter of when and where and how. I certainly aren't going to teach the entire database Julian's way of trading. He has to do that eventually himself. But I'm going to share it to Jeff and let him share a part of it out in his own way, because he'll change it a little bit. Anyway, on we go, buddy.
Yeah, look, and I've got to make an absolute admission here that, and I'm probably going, how many Barleys have we done? 3?
We have done 3, mate.
3 Barleys. So I wouldn't miss Barley for, I don't know, lots of things. I'd give away a few things. I'd probably keep hold of my private parts, but the rest would be okay.
You know, Barley Well, we'll talk about this a little bit because my feeling right now is that Bali will be in Singapore this year. I think Australia, New Zealand, and Singapore are going to open their boundaries.
How many
to each
more
other.
hours is that in a bloody plane, mate? Jeez.
Mate, you know what you just said, didn't you? You know what you just said, right?
Yeah.
Anything,
what?
right? Well, you said a couple more hours in a plane, mate. Fly to Perth and fly. It's like 3 hours from Perth or something, mate.
Okay, we're going to have
I
a holiday in Perth. Fair
I
enough.
think Bali will be Singapore. I think it'll be in late November. I think we end up pushing it back. I think it'll be this year, but we are going to keep the options open as long as we can. And I want it to go ahead, and I want to go ahead for us to be able to go ahead with it to make it Sydney. I wouldn't mind that. There's a few guys who wouldn't be all that pleased with that. Let me just tell you, Gary, that the weather and the price of beer in Sydney at that time of the year are both very different to Bali.
That's true.
Very different.
Very different. We look again, Helen. No doubt we'll do it in Thailand at some stage. I'm happy to move it around Asia. I want it to be in a place where I like people to be able to come to Bali and pay $10 a night for accommodation if they want to, and $1,000 a night for accommodation if they want to. I think my thing about Bali's got to work for everybody, and I like it to have a lot of variety around it. I don't think we'll be in Bali this year, but I don't think we'll be in Phuket this year just because of the borders. I just don't think we're getting into those kind of places. I just can't see it being good enough.
My God,
but I think Singapore is an option. And again, I guess if worst case scenario, maybe Perth. As long as Singaporeans can get in there.
Perth. Seriously.
Anyway, I think Bali will go ahead this year. I think it'll likely be in Singapore. We'll talk about it as we get closer to it. I don't want to rule anything out. I don't want to rule anything in. Right now, it's booked for the 3rd week of October in Bali, and we'll leave it there until such time as it can't be done, and then we'll have a look at options around it. But I do want to run Bali live, and I'm same as you, Jeff. What you were saying, I really do want to run Bali live no matter what. You know, not no matter what. As long as I don't put anyone's health and safety in danger, I want to do it. And if we don't do it this year live, we'll probably do something online, and then we'll do something early next year live to make up for it. We'll find a way. We'll make it happen. It's too important. It's too important to us. Look, same thing, mate. If I can't get into Bali, I probably can't get into KL. You know, shoes as well. Yeah, they're not the same brand as the shoes sometimes. Look, again, we'll keep the options open on the trading retreat, and look, it's the platinum thing. It's a huge part for the team, and I think we look forward to it so much. Partly because of the trading knowledge we learn, and partly because we get a chance to sit together and talk trading together, and sometimes we just get to sit together and talk crap together. It's just great fun for us, and obviously Penang. Look, at the end of the day, if we can get into one of these places, we'll be in one of these places. But one of the things I don't want to do. I need to be able to get enough traders there to make it worthwhile. We'll either do it online or we'll have traders there. I'm not prepared to run it in Singapore with 3 Singaporeans and 15 traders coming in online. That's not a trading retreat for mine. If we've got the Europeans can't be there and we can get everyone else there, I'm happy to do it. But I need to have enough traders there to have the genuine experience. And that's what I'm waiting for. And again, we'll wait patiently. We are looking forward to it very much. I keep distracting you, mate. You're talking about making money, and I like people talking about making money. So back to you.
But it's not going to change. Everything's the same. All I'm showing you is exactly the same chart on different currency pairs. So if you want to line them up, guys, write them down. This is exactly what I'm going to trade next week, right? Euro dollar, I'm going to look for a short if it comes back inside the range and gives me a lower high. If it goes above and retests, I'm going to look for a long. Euro pound, I'm going to wait till it gets to the top, and if it does exactly the same thing, breaks and retests, I'm looking for a long, comes back inside, I'm looking for a short on the lower high. Pound US dollar, this is prime. This is probably one of the best ones setting up right now. This will be a Tuesday thing maybe. We'll be looking for, daily pivot won't be there, but the monthly pivot will. Love to see that get to the monthly pivot, then give me a lower high in this vicinity, regardless of whether the daily pivot, regardless of where the daily pivot is, because we're coming off the top of the range. If we get a lower high here, we're going to trade it to the bottom. Pound yen is exactly the same scenario. Actually, this one's probably better because we're below the pivots now. If we come back and test the pivots, we put in a lower high here, we're going to trade it to the bottom. Kiwi, exactly the same thing, bounce off the monthly pivot. If it gives me a lower high here, I'm going to trade it to the bottom. Pound Kiwi, Yeah, look, this, and I heard a little bit of commentary on this earlier. This is a tough one. But look what's happened here. Massive, massive rejection of the top of this range. Sorry, I call channels range, I call triangles ranges, I call rectangles ranges. This is a massive rejection of that level. And since we've come off that, we've gone into a little range in here, right? So as we come down the charts, interesting, really interesting, this one. We've broken the bottom and we've gone bang, straight back into the range. Interesting. Not sure that coincides with the big rejection of what, $202.20, not even $2.18. But this is interesting. I think this gives us, again, a second opportunity, one of the better ones. If this gives us a higher low here, this is a really good opportunity to trade this at the top. So I think I've given you, how many? 5 or 6 that are shaping up exactly what I'm going to trade this week. This is another one. If we come back to the monthly pivot, this is Kiwi Swissy. Look for a lower high. We're going to trade it to the bottom. I think I've run out now. I think that's it. No, there's one more. Euro Kiwi. If we get to the top of the range, we're going to look for the exact same thing. Break and retest, break and back under, or just test lower high. All of those things are in play. But wow, how many opportunities have we got this week coming up? Trading ranges. Heaps of them, mate. That's it.
Yeah, mate, it's nice when you get the right type of market for what you're trading. It's going to be another exciting time. You're in the UK session around 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the afternoon Singapore time, and the US session around 9 in the evening Singapore time. The UK session's on YouTube and is free, and the US session is $34.95 a month. Is that right? $14 a week. Is that right?
Yeah, about $1 Sing a week, a day or something like that. Yeah.
Not bad, mate. Not bad. I was talking to Ash. Seems like both of you are having a pretty good run of it, eh? Yeah, look,
mate, Ash is
away
unbelievable. I don't know how he gets the direction right, because there's no way on the planet that I would be looking to trade any, not that I do, any indice long at the moment. But wow, he's just picked up a couple of longs that I'm going, hang on, you're bearish, I'm bearish, but you just, well, yeah, it blows me away.
Look, one of the things I really like about Ash, and I'm sure I won't be saying this, but look, he went on a run where he was profitable 17 out of 18 months. And the last couple of those months we were profitable, but battling. He had to fight pretty hard for it. And, you know, he's gone back and he's redesigned his trading strategy to make it easier for himself. And the ability to change is really rare. The ability to change is really rare. And what he's trading, he's using the same knowledge, but how he's trading it now is a little bit different to how he was trading it a few months ago. And it's not easy when you're doing really well to have the courage to still make change, and sensible change and measured change. Clever man, very, very clever man.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be in that show with him, and we get some really good followers coming in that show. We have a bit of fun as well, and make some money.
Mate, it's clearly much love. Certainly the viewership of that has gone up sensationally in the last few months, and continues to. I am sure it will continue to do that, particularly as we start and work in some new markets. As we do some stuff in the UK, etc. It puts a few people who can watch that UK session show without missing work, which is which is really brilliant. Mate, are we done?
Mate, I'm done. The structures are in place, and I'm looking forward to the week, frankly.
Mate, it's one of my intentions, excuse me, guys. It's one of my intentions to run TTR on a Sunday night in about an hour, and between Orlando, ANZ and yourself, we've gone to nearly 2 hours today. And I've just got to say, for mine, I hope for guys at home, it's a long time out of a Sunday afternoon away from your families, but boy, I really enjoyed it. I thought there's some great content, some great learning. We're going to keep trying to get it through an hour and a quarter, hour and a half. It's one of the reasons we changed the format to put the specialist in. Exciting times next week, Exciting times next week. Julian joins us next week. He'll be in for the analysis session. Ainsley won't be here, so we may well have Orlando coming in and doing oil and gold. If not, we'll have someone else doing oil and gold. Jeff will be doing technicals. Remember, if you want to join Jeff, it is a UK session around 3 o'clock Singapore, and US session around 9 p.m. Singapore. If you need any help with that, email in and someone will come back and help you guys. Really enjoyed bringing the show today. Thanks to those that have contributed. You've been brilliant. And thanks to everybody who stayed the distance. Great numbers in the show again today. Good to see it growing all the time. As we say, guys, If you're involved with the ATW, we want ATW people only in the Zoom webinar. But if you've got trading friends, tell your trading friends they're welcome to join on YouTube. There's nothing in here that's proprietary. This is basic market stuff and our opinions on different things, not detail around our strategy. And that stuff we keep for you guys. But they can certainly come and learn our views on the markets and how we think we look at it. So please feel free to invite friends and traders and family to come along and watch us on YouTube. It's always good to have more people around. For those who have watched us today, again, thank you very much. And thanks for the comments coming in, guys. Much appreciated. Jeff, what did you say? 3,500 pips in the last how long?
Probably 6 weeks, I think it is.
Insane.
I'd have to check.
Insane.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You know, I've traded much with you on the slingshot. We made 100 pips in the month and thought we were doing amazing.
We're pretty happy, yeah.
We're pretty happy. It's a long time ago, and it was still making money. But boy, that's an incredible effort, mate. Well done. And
cheers,
thanks
mate.
to you, mate.
Yay, well done, Jeff.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks,
Thank you.
Ainsley. One of the things that I like about this show, right, is that when oil and gold isn't doing much, Jeff's got a truckload. When the trending stuff isn't doing enough for the market analysis, there's someone in this show that always has a market to talk about, which I really like. Cheers, guys. Have a good afternoon, evening in Singapore.
Everyone.
Love to your families and stay safe, guys. Make sure you're back. We're all lucky. Australia, New Zealand, and Singapore, we're in countries where the general population aren't having a lot of problems. I know some of the immigrant workforce in Singapore, and our thoughts go out to them. But stay safe, guys. Don't quit on this yet. Take care of you and yours. Make sure they get through this okay. See you guys.
Bye.
Hooroo.
Bye, Jeff.